I think there's an understanding on both sides that when you as a citizen have to reach out to municipal government, everyone involved has screwed up.
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
The first thing I want to say before we even get into the podcast is Black Lives Matter.
They do.
So, right as I was entering into this recording studio, I discovered something in my pocket, which I almost took out to show you right away, but then I thought, no, this is hilarious. I will do a reveal on the episode.
Okay.
What do you think I found in my pocket now that I've come to the studio away from the store?
Your shattered dreams. The store's phone?
The store's telephone.
Was in your vest pocket?
No, it was in my hip
your
pocket.
Hip pocket. Okay.
Because I was obviously on the floor on the phone, and then I put the phone in my pocket when the call was over, did something else on the floor, came back.
Boy, it's a good thing you're working tomorrow.
No other calls. Well, if not, it'd be you.
Well, what if neither of us is working tomorrow?
Oh, that's hilarious.
What if it was like a Wednesday night and it's like, oh no.
Anyway, out of range.
Yeah, you think?
This is going to be dead tomorrow.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I was going to take my keys out of my pocket. I'm like, those aren't my keys. It's the phone.
I like that you could get an entire cordless phone all the way home in your pants pocket without realizing it.
Well, it's funny because as I got in the car, it's pretty funny. As I got in the car, because that's usually my comb pocket.
Okay, sure.
I'm like, wow, my comb's taking up a lot of room tonight.
Why did I bring the world's thickest comb?
I have the store's phone. I wonder if we'll get any calls tonight.
Ooh.
No, we don't. No, we don't buy comics, sir, ma'am.
Hi, do you have Bat.0 Fortinite?
No, we have it now.
Oh, no?
So since we have copies available of a previous
2?
issue,
Yeah.
people only want 3 now.
Yeah, well, and that got pushed back. Yeah, not to jump ahead too much, but DC had originally scheduled the at that point current reprints of Batman Fortnite 0 Point issues 1 and 2 and 3 to correspond with with the release of 4?
Yeah.
With the release of issue 4. So we had ordered all of those kind of on the same final order cutoff week.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, great. There's going to be a week where the new issue is going to come out, and then when people come in for that, we'll have every other issue they've missed. Great, we can sell a ton of them. And then slowly over the intervening period between the final order cutoff and the upcoming release date for Batman Fortnite 0 Point number 4, DC has completely changed around all those release dates. So
by multiple weeks,
we're completely
per issue.
screwed. So like issue 2's reprint came out this past week, May 25th. And then the reprint for issue 1...
Which was supposed to be the 2nd.
Yeah, June 2nd.
Is now the 9th.
Is the week after issue 4 comes out. And then the reprint for issue 3 got pushed all the way back to June 22nd, a full 3 weeks later.
Yeah,
so it's great. So like we won't get the reprint of 3 until after 5 comes out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. It's a great system.
So yeah, our fingers crossed hope is that when 5 comes out, or when 6 comes out, because again it'll be after 5. When 6 comes out, we will actually have hopefully all 6 issues in stock. But the odds of that happening now are really slim because of how differently all those books are going to come out. So yeah, currently we have a ton of issue 2, and then we'll have a ton of issue 4
this upcoming Wednesday,
and then a ton of issue 1 and 2 and 4, and then we'll have a ton of 1 and 2 and 4 and 5, and then we'll have a ton of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Hopefully.
Yep.
And then 6. Like, the whole thing is... This is one of those things where I've spent a few weeks being like, hey, DC did the best they could with this. Retailers screwed up by not ordering enough. The problem is DC is moving the release dates of these issues, making it so that they don't line up anymore, which means that our ability to effectively market them and sell groups of them is hindered. it's in some ways it's no different than if they had just for first prints been like, cool, we're going to release issues 1 and 2 and then 5 and then 4 and then 3 and then 6, where it would be like, I can't sell these other issues, like they're not coming out in the right order.
Yeah, but you act as if people care about the order.
Well, I kind of do. But then on top of that, it's the problem of, as they've shifted these release dates because they don't have to adhere to Diamond's terms of sale anymore, they haven't revised the final order cutoff, to my knowledge.
No.
So the copies that we're getting in, that we're now getting in like 3 weeks later than we thought we were going to get, are what we ordered when we thought they were coming out 3 weeks earlier. So now they're coming out 3 weeks later. We can't adjust our numbers down.
No, of course
for
not.
these issues that we're ordering non-returnable.
No.
It's just like, well, hopefully you can still sell them, which is, as always, a great thing you want to hear from your publishing partner. Is
partner?
Best of luck.
Partner is an interesting choice of words, Dale.
Well, it's just an industry standard term. I'm not giving it any specific
credence, any
emotional
weight to
payload.
It. Yeah.
I'm just saying that's what they're called, our publishing partner. Yeah, so that's a huge, gigantic bummer.
Well, they're saying that it takes longer to produce because of the bagging and the code inside and blah, 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 but they should have known how long it would take from printing the first prints, and then we order them all at the same time, so
yeah,
why are there extra weeks?
One, that's just a basic logistical issue that I expect them to have under control. I don't expect that sort of stuff to be a huge surprise that they didn't plan for. They're a major publisher who has done bagged comics before. Like, that's something they absolutely should have planned for. That's a failure on their part. The other thing is, none of this would be a problem if they weren't releasing them every 2 weeks.
Yep.
Like, by rapidly increasing the rate of production, it means that when you have little delays, suddenly they're coming out after other issues, and you're missing the window where people are going to come in. Again, like, what our hope was, people come in for issue 4, and we have the previous 3 issues. Like, the only point where we will have every previous issue now is, hopefully, if we still have them in stock, if things haven't gone wrong, if other stuff hasn't been pushed back, is when issue 6 comes out, which is the last point we'll have a chance to catch people who missed other issues.
Would you call that the 0 point?
I would not. So yeah, it's a big fiasco. I don't love it. It's compounding the gigantic pain in the ass that Batman Fortnite 0 point has been as a series.
Certainly, the use of the phrase "insult to injury" would,
I'd go along with that.
The fuller phrase "adding insult to injury,"
yeah, it's pretty dumb,
would be more accurate.
Yeah, literally every time we open a new DC Direct Channels email that the few remaining publicity and marketing people send out to retailers, I laugh because there's just one new rescheduling where it's like, oh, that screws us. Like, it's rarely good news. It's almost entirely either stuff I don't care about or isn't relevant to my store. Like, oh, here's the team variant. I'm not ordering that.
Yeah.
Or just bad news, where it's like, oh, that's, you push that back, or oh, that changed, or oh, that's unavailable, or the configuration of that is now worse for me.
I didn't look at the DC previews, or in fact any previews for the month.
Okay.
But I heard that they have a couple of new series that I just feel are just piling on.
For DC?
Yeah. The Joker, the new Joker miniseries.
Joker Puzzle Box?
Joker Puzzle Box.
Yeah.
Like Matthew Rosenberg a lot.
Sure.
Don't want another Joker series.
Yeah, I mean, that's just DC now. You're going to get nothing but Batman and Joker series because they know Batman and Joker series sell.
And the next one, Batman World.
Batman the World, I think, is actually sort of interesting. It's a thing that I was very ambivalent about when they announced it, because I'm like, oh man, it's a Batman graphic novel for like $25. It's the concept is okay, but it's a sort of thing where I'm like, I don't know if people care as much about, like, what does a Batman story look like done by Russian creators? What does it look like done by Korean creators? Like, that's the thing that's, like, clever, but, like, is it going to make people pay $25 for this?
Yeah.
The American creators are Azzarello and Bermejo.
Yep.
So, like, that's pretty cool.
Doesn't one of them live in Italy?
Yeah, right. But then I was looking through, I think The Beat, maybe, had shown off some preview pages for a bunch of the creative teams, and I'm like, holy shit, this looks amazing. Like,
I just love that.
It looks genuinely beautiful. The
Polish creator is Peter Kowalski.
Yeah.
You know, guys who's been doing American comics for decades.
Yeah, and honestly, that's the thing. Like, that was sort of my expectations. Like, oh, it's just like, the Italian team is going to be Jim Lee because he lived in Italy for a while.
Or Umberto Ramos.
Yeah, but no, it's not.
Not as the Italian creator, of course.
Right. The bulk of the creators are people that when there was a list of the teams, I'm like, I don't know any of these people, but then they showed off the pages. I'm like, oh no, this looks really good. And it's people who have won legitimate international comics awards just for things that we've never
comics
seen.
Comics
in
don't get
America.
awards; they're for children.
So it's a sort of book that I don't know that we'll have a ton of people that are going to pony up the money up front, but I think it's a sort of book that when we have it in hand and you take it out of the shrink wrap and you go, well, look at this, it's going to sell in the same way that we could consistently sell books like Batman Damned to people who are like, I need a Batman book for someone who doesn't really get a lot of Batman stuff, but they're an adult fan who blah, blah,
you give
blah.
them Batman Damned?
Sure, we sell a shit ton of Batman Damned. Are you serious?
Tell language.
A shit ton of that no-dick book. Batman Damned. I mean, I all the time recommend and sell things that aren't to my personal taste.
Sure.
But are legitimately...
The only reason I said it was because
regarded.
I don't recall having sold a Batman Damned personally.
Oh, a lot. Yeah.
A long time.
Yeah, because maybe you recommend different things than I do, but when people come in a lot for a gift and they're like, it's someone who's a Batman fan and they're an adult, it's like, I will usually pick things like Batman Dan because I'm like, okay.
Oh, no, Dal, I see the confusion, because when somebody comes in and asks for a recommendation from me, I recommend they talk to you.
I see. Batman Damned is a really good physical object. It looks really good. It looks like something that you'd give as a gift. It's this oversized hardcover with a kind of acetate cover. It looks really pretty. And when you mentioned it's a mature reader's book and it's a self-contained thing and it's it hits a lot of the triggers that people would want to decide if they're going to get a gift for another grown adult. They don't want to get something that's childish, but it's a Batman thing, so they need something that's going to be a little edgy or whatever. And it's like, here's Batman Damned. It's literally what that book was designed for, is for that audience. That's what a Black Label Batman comic was for. And Batman the World looks like it's going to fill some of that same void, where people are going to want a Batman gift book that isn't tied into current continuity, that isn't some massive story, that's literally just hey, here's what creators around the world think of Batman at a very high level of quality for $25. Yes.
That title to me sounds like a Gotham City amusement park.
Yeah, and
I'm going to Batman the World.
Sure. And it definitely, my first instinct was Batman Europa that no one wanted to read.
But that was Batman set in Europe.
Right. And honestly,
also by an Italian creator, Jim Lee.
And to be fair,
that's what the detective is.
That's also what a lot of these stories are going to be. It's not just hey, a Polish creative team tells a story about Batman fighting the Joker in Gotham City. No, they're almost all Batman goes to Poland, Batman goes to Korea, Batman goes to Russia.
Right, but it's not like the Batman manga. It's not the Polish Batman.
Unclear some of it. There's the Japanese one where it's or I can't remember if it was, and I don't want to be culturally insensitive. I don't know if it was the Korean one or the Japanese one, but there's definitely an Asian Batman one that is Batman in a completely different costume to fit that culture, and it's oh, that's less interesting to me as a reader. When Batman reinvented, I don't want Batman reinvented. I want creators from a different culture to tell a Batman story.
What if it's just Bruce Wayne in a country appropriate outfit?
Maybe, sure. It's tough with some of these because...
I'm just saying, would that be okay with you?
Oh, again, I'm less into it. Again, part of, for me, the appeal of a story by a different creative team, culture, what have you, is seeing how they approach the core story. Do you know what I mean? So when it's oh, he gets a new costume or he fights a brand new villain, it's that's not really much of a Batman story anymore. That could be any character now. Seeing them approach what does a Batman story mean? That was always the Batman black and white thing. It's let's get creators who have really never done a Batman story and let's get them to tell a Batman story. The more it deviates from that sort of platonic ideal of a Batman story, the more it could just be, a Moon Knight story, or it could be a Nighthawk story, or it could be, any number of other nocturnal vigilantes.
Sure.
Great, fine.
I'm very surprised that DC hasn't announced a 6-issue prestige format Batman anthology series called Batman Full Color.
That would be pretty cool.
To replace black and white.
Sure.
But it's vibrant color.
Slowly adding more colors.
Right.
Or it's just they changed the registers of all of them, so it's all just different, like the way too red and way too dark blue, and
Like, I like your idea of bringing it slowly back. So it'll be Batman black, white, and blue. Or Batman black and blue and white.
black, white,
Because he's all
black, white,
bruised
blue,
up.
and yellow, and then
Each series adds a new color.
Batman RGB. Did you hear that one of the series they're doing now is a Pennyworth series based on the completely unwatched Epics series of Cold War era Alfred Pennyworth,
Shut your mouth.
spy adventurer.
Shut your stupid mouth.
First covers by George Fornes.
Is it under the DC horror label?
Technically, yes.
Because that's another thing I don't care about.
Yeah. There's also Superman versus Lobo, which is a Prestige Plus, which is their treasury size.
Yeah, written by Tim Seeley
and Sarah Beatty.
Sarah Beatty, and drawn by Mirka Andolfo.
Yep.
Yeah, I was talking to Tim Seeley about that, and I said...
Get that. Could you try again?
No, I said Tim Seeley.
Seeley.
Here's the contact info for Tim Seeley.
I mean, you're right. It is that. Thank you, Siri.
Siri, can we put him on the phone for this?
Don't read out Tim Seeley's phone number.
Call Tim.
And I asked if I forgot what we were talking about now. Superman and Lobo
versus
kiss
Lobo.
at all, or how much
They have sex in space.
how much sexual tension there is in the book, and he's like, oh, a lot. He said there's a lot of I can't remember what he said. I think a lot of shirtless Lobo in the book.
Okay. Got to give the people what they want.
Yeah, yes, indeed. And he said he cannot believe they gave Sarah a Superman book.
Why? Because how porny she is?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I mean, that's not what he said, but that's my assumption.
that's what you read into it?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. From the creative team that brought you Money Shot? Yeah.
I guess that's the thing. Tim Seeley on his own is like, from the creative team that gave you, like, a Nightwing comic book or whatever. Or a
Yeah,
random...
Grayson.
Yeah,
And Hack
yay.
Slash.
But when you add Sarah Beatty, it's like, oh, the porn guys. Got it. Okay. The porn writers. Sure.
We'll take it.
She's the corrupting influence on his nice boy writing.
He was just going to do a bunch of big, sweaty men punching each other.
And she had to make it weird.
There you go. I would like to thank a few people for this week's episode. Not for this week's episode, but on this week's episode. 4 things this week. First and foremost, Drew Triner for dropping off several mango-flavored margaritas today at the store.
Ooh, Margs.
That was quite appreciated, and they're quite tasty. Thank you for that, Drew.
Did you drink all of them?
No.
By yourself?
No, only half of them.
Okay.
That's not true. I drank... Of the total of margaritas, I drank a quarter of them.
Okay.
Gina and I together drank a half of them.
Okay. That sounds
There's
pretty good.
more for next time. And I would like to thank one of the owners of Club Lago, Guido Nardini, for doing some favors for us, taking some photos of Blue's empty storefront, because the city of Chicago has decided that we are delinquent in our right-of-way, public way, right-of-way sign permit usage, and that if we don't renew that sign permit, they will invalidate our business license. So it took 8 days of calling them and leaving messages repeatedly to get someone to finally call me back so I could say, hey, that store is closed. It was closed since July. I've sent in photos of the empty storefront, and I've informed the city that the store is closed, and also had somebody take that off of our tax profile. So the city knows that it's closed.
Well, parts of the city know.
Yeah,
But
right?
clearly parts don't. And those parts are angry.
And I felt a little bit bad for the guy who I was talking to, because apparently he's just the guy going through, like, collating the messages.
He's just some functionary.
And I did apologize to him, because I'm like, hey man, just as you're going through, if you're getting to these calls in order, you're going to get like 6 more calls from me that are in there in the system. And it was he gave me very specific, detailed directions on what to do, and he kept saying, you sound like a smart guy, you can do this, blah, 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 blah. And basically...
he believed in you.
Well, I feel like it's funny you take it positively, I took it negatively.
Oh.
I felt like it's a thing he just says to everybody. Like he must be used to dealing with people who aren't
Smart
tech
guys
savvy
who can deal with it.
exactly, Luddites or old folks.
Uh-huh.
And if you were explaining this to me, you could give me all the information in like a couple of words,
Okay.
not a like you saw my page of notes.
Yes, I did.
And basically, they have a new website you have to go to for that kind of stuff. And then once you set up your account and claim your business, you have to claim your permit.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to cancel your permit. And you have to show photos of the fact that, no, I don't have a sign up. So I could have gotten there this morning, but I was doing this yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So I messaged Guido Nardini, who would be working at Club Lago, which is just around the corner from where Blue used to be. They are at the corner of Orleans and Superior and River North, and my favorite place in the city. And Guido kindly ran over and took
Your
some
own
photos.
store isn't your favorite place in the city.
Yeah, I know. That's usually
Wow.
what I tell people.
Wow.
Like, Club Lago is my favorite place in the city, and I own a store there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's... I make no bones.
I don't think you were lying or incorrect or had an oversight, but I'm just acknowledging, wow.
Let me put it this way, Dal. I choose to go to Club Lago.
Sure, you're mostly angry at the store.
I was the good cop.
Uh-huh.
So he went over and took a bunch of pictures, sending them back saying, oh, I'm sure these are exactly what the Department of Public Way wants, and you won't have any trouble with these signs, with these photos whatsoever.
I think there's an understanding on both sides that when you as a citizen have to reach out to municipal government, everyone involved has screwed up. Like, that's just a failure on everyone's part. Like, that's just... If it comes to that, you're sad, they're sad. No one sees a good way out of this.
No. And one of the things that I think that they would want from these photos is a clear address.
Uh-huh.
There wasn't ever a clear
No.
address because the door to get to near our store is a vestibule door, and it just has a big C on it. Not for challengers, because it's door C out of
Right.
ABCD.
Right.
And there is, at no point was there an address on the door or the window.
Yeah.
So all you see is two empty signposts where a banner could have been, and a big empty window. Not even a for rent sign in the
Not
window.
even a for rent sign. That
No,
is
it's
that is
weird,
a building
right?
owner that is highly unmotivated to rent that spot.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You know, I think it's the opposite. I think they have rented it,
Oh, wow. Maybe.
and they need to get people out of it.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe it's completely different in that they are so attached to us and they are so heartbroken that we're not there that they can't bear to rent it. It's too soon. You know? The wound is
Sure.
too fresh.
Sure. So anyway, I had to send a photo, and even though Guido gave me a bunch, but I had to pick one. And then now we're just playing that waiting game with the city of Chicago, where they will decide to look it over. And I 80% expect them to be like, no, this picture isn't good enough.
Yeah. We need a picture of you in front, pointing to where the sign isn't,
Holding up today's newspaper.
and crying. We
Yeah.
need to see real regret on your face.
Oh, no problem. I can definitely muster up some regret when it comes to that store.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, thank you, Guido, for abandoning your own business
Thanks, Guido.
and running around the corner to take several photos for our benefit. And I did inform him that we will happily see him on the 9th.
Yay!
Or it'll be a good time. I like to think so.
Yeah.
On the 9th is a store signing. I know, right?
What the? How? When? Why? Where?
Kyle Starks and Chris Schweizer, the writer and artist and creators of the amazing new Image comic, 6 Sidekicks of Trigger Keaton. And we've talked about this book numerous times on the podcast. And not only have we talked about it, but it is now a pull quote in the new previews.
In several places.
And other things. And we love the book so much that after we got to read the first 3 issues, even though David Harper has read 4...
Yeah, there's clearly a fourth one completely done, sent to the apparent good friends of the creative team of 6 Sidekicks of Trigger Keaton.
So we reached out to them to say how great the book was. They said, hey, do you want to do something for it? And we said, absolutely not. It's way too soon. There's a pandemic.
There's
We're
no
not
way by the
comfortable.
second week of June things will be good enough in Chicago to make that happen. And then all of a sudden...
You know that Pokemon kid who comes in often and
Yes.
buys cards?
His, like, dad or granddad walks that really nice dog.
I don't know anything about the dog.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of a different kid then.
But, well, there is a dad or granddad involved in the story.
Okay.
So the kid was in, but usually he's by himself.
Right.
And I was throwing some stuff away. And he came back and he was getting rung up, but he didn't have enough money, so the adult had to chime in. But as I come walking back in, he was saying, so when are you guys going to bring the chairs back down and get rid of masks and everything? Go back to normal. And Gina was just saying, well, I mean, not for a while. And I'm like, no plans. No plans. Like, the way he was phrasing it made it seem like...
He couldn't wait for it?
Yeah.
And we were definitely going to regret doing either of those things?
So, yeah, I just...
Well, since you made it sound like a threat, no.
Yeah, and I couldn't tell if he's just somebody who wants to go back to normal or if he's a begrudging masker, as opposed to an anti-masker.
Yeah, I think you're going to be seeing more people who are going to be unwilling to keep a mask on.
Well, one of the things that is predominant in our minds in regards to mask rules for the store is that we have an entire section of the store dedicated to young readers, to kids, to people who are too young to get a vaccine.
That's true.
And I'm not saying I'm going to wear a mask forever, but I want to give a safe space for them.
Sure.
And I know a lot of people whose kids, whose teenagers are getting vaccinated, which is great. But, it's, 12 and up is where we're at right now?
Something like that.
And there's a lot of under 12s that shop at the store.
That's true.
And I don't want to present an unsafe environment for them.
No, it's really good reason.
And this guy made a point of saying, 50% of all Americans are vaccinated. Like, I think that is a qualified statistic. I don't think it's 50% of all Americans. I think it's 50% of eligible adults.
I don't know. I've heard that statistic. I don't know what it represents. I'd have to look it up. I don't know if it's of people who can be vaccinated or just the population of the United States.
Yeah. I don't know for sure, but I don't think it's the
That's
population.
why I would not trot out that statistic because I don't know what it actually means or accounts for.
Well, 80% of people that bring out statistics about vaccination are 100% wrong. 60% of the time.
90% of people know that.
That is true. So I think I was just bringing him up because he seemed anti-masker. We're going to keep masks on, but so anyway, I got it. I know where we are. I'm back on track. Once things started to relax, and Chris and Kyle got vaccinated before us, but once you and I got vaccinated, and then honestly, everybody at Challengers, and I think I mentioned this before, everybody's got both doses. Everyone who works for us.
And anecdotally, we've been talking to people at the counter, and it seems like nearly everybody who can get vaccinated is either in the process of being vaccinated or is completely vaccinated. So there's this just anecdotal sense of like, I think our customer base is actually pretty well protected.
Yeah. I was talking to a customer who works in the medical industry, and
Dr. Doom.
And Victor Von Doom had said, well, you know what? When I finish the story, it's less impressive if it's Dr. Doom.
Plus, he's a different kind of doctor.
I did say medical profession. Okay.
Yeah.
So
he might have a few medical degrees, though.
Sure.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So anyway, we were talking about vaccines, and I go, I assume you're vaccinated. And they said, yeah, I was actually vaccinated before the president was.
Wow.
Like, oh, okay.
So much more important. Good for them. I mean, frontline workers absolutely should have been vaccinated before politicians. Yes. Agreed.
Especially politicians that don't believe in it. Anyway. So once things started to relax a little bit and the city's like, yeah, do whatever you want, basically. We're like, maybe we can do an event with these guys. So we messaged them back and said, what do you think? And they're in, and they will be signing 6 Sidekicks of Trigger Keaton #1. You like how I have to slow down and pause every time I say the title?
Sure.
On Wednesday,
It's a mouthful.
June 9th, from 4 p.m. till 7 p.m.
Yep.
That is a 3-hour window, an hour longer than we normally do.
True.
We will have a ton of copies. There are
of all 3 covers.
3 covers. There's a Chris Schweizer cover. There's an Erica Henderson cover. And there's an Ed Luce. Is it Luce or Lucy?
I always said Luce, but I don't know.
Ed Luce Pride cover. And these guys are the best, and you'll have a great time.
Yeah.
We have customers who had Chris do their save the date wedding invitation art after meeting him at
That's awesome.
C2E2.
That's awesome.
And he was very excited by Gina's Over the Garden Wall costume at a show.
Mm-hmm.
And Kyle's, they've both been to the store before.
Yeah, they're both great guys.
We spent a lot of time with Kyle at Gen Con.
Yeah, we've talked before about, like, we've had a lot of people in for signings, obviously not in the last year, but prior to that, for, 12 years, we had a lot of people in for signings, and, some of them are people who come in for signings. They're, very gracious with fans. They do a great job. It's, a beneficial experience for them and for us. But it's just like kind of a business relationship. And
sure.
You hang out for a day and then...
Which, fine.
Right. Like that. That was the end of the sentence was you hang out for a day, but then it's fine. You go your separate ways. Everyone goes back to their life. It's a relationship that reached its conclusion. But then there's sometimes we have these experiences where it really clicks. And you keep running into these people at shows and, you hit them up for other projects. And suddenly it's like, oh... They become kind of like your guys. Like Challengers has a bunch of our guys.
Your boy.
Some of them are Russell boys. But yeah, so and in this term, by the way, I'm using our guys as a non-gendered term, as groups of people that we are very fond of and will work with as often as we can possibly make an excuse to work with them.
Some of them are local. Some of them are all over the place.
Yeah.
But we thought it would be a really fun return to events with this book and these creators.
Yeah, it's really a perfect storm of like people that we haven't seen in a while that we'd love to catch up with. A book that we're incredibly fond of.
Man, it's such a good book.
And just it being like, June, it's nice weather-ish. People are vaccinated. Just felt like, yeah, this is a thing where we could do this. Like, this is a way we could do this that's safe for everybody, as safe as it's going to get in the current climate. And a slight return to normalcy. Like, it just felt like a really good idea. And it's great that we were able to do it and kind of throw it together on such short notice. It's nice that they had reached out to us, a few months earlier to be like, should we do this? And we were like, so that when we decided, yes, we kind of had that window to already go, hey, we changed our mind. We do want to do this. Can you still make it work?
Yeah, it's rare that we're the ones saying, no, we don't want to do a thing.
No, it was this weird period where, like, we hadn't been vaccinated yet. It was unclear how quickly everyone else would be able to be vaccinated. It was just as, like in Chicago, you couldn't get a vaccination. Like, it was such hard work. And then here we are. It's the end of May. It's like, everyone who wanted a vaccination that we know of got vaccinated. That's great. So, why not do a signing now?
Well, you said a signing, but... Then the ball started to roll downhill, and there's more.
So many more.
For example, later that same month, Wednesday, June 30th, we'll have Mike Moreci in for... I said Mike, it's Michael Moreci. For the new Vault comic Barbaric, which, another book we both really enjoyed.
Yeah, I read the first issue when Vault had sent us a PDF a while back, and I thought it was really, really fun. It's a very funny, very violent take on Conan. And I know I'm saying it's a very violent take on Conan, so really understand what I'm saying when I say that.
When it's a violent take on Conan, yeah. Basically, it's a barbarian who is cursed to do good for the rest of his life, and he has a talking axe, and the axe gets drunk on blood, so the axe is drunk all the time.
Yeah. The axe is like midway between like his sidekick and his... adversary and his sponsor.
Yeah, it's
a very bizarre relationship they have.
Conscience, but
that's what's going with sponsor.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's someone who's like, when the barbarian's like, okay, can I do this and still fulfill my curse? And the axe is the one being like, not really.
Yeah. No, you got to do this. You got to do this thing. Sorry.
So yeah, it made for a very fun first issue. I'm not really a fantasy guy, and this really worked for me. I really enjoyed what was happening in it.
I'm not a fantasy guy, but I've always been a Conan guy.
Oh, okay. And you liked it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And it's funny when we reached out to him and said, hey, do you want to do this? He's like, you know what? I never even considered doing events.
Crazy.
That's how far of a mindset it is. He just announced a new a kid's book that he's writing.
Okay.
Called Creepy the Snowman.
Okay.
It's a graphic novel.
Okay.
I think coming in 2023.
Wow. Okay.
Written by him and his two kids.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, right?
That's cute.
And then things just keep popping up with Chicago creators. For example, and this is down the line, the last week of August, a new all-ages graphic novel comes out from local writer Dave Scheidt called Mayor Good Boy.
With art by Miranda Harmon.
Yeah. About a dog that becomes mayor.
Yeah, a dog gets elected mayor of a small town, and a couple kids have to help the Mayor Good Boy do his good boy job. It looks great, coming out from Random House Graphic.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're doing an event for that on Saturday, September 4th, and because it's a book about a dog, it's about a good boy, we want people to bring their good boys to the store.
Yeah.
It's one of our occasional dog-friendly events, which we do a lot, actually. I mean, dogs are always welcome into the store, but this is hey, bring your dogs.
Yeah, I mean, every event we do, I think, is technically dog-friendly, but this is...
like an event specifically for dogs.
This is like dog best friendly.
Yeah, there you go. I like that. Dog best friendly. So that's coming up September 4th, and we had a while ago decided we weren't going to do anything different for Free Comic Book Day. No creators, no artists, not a lot of...
just giving out books and trying to keep things casual.
And then DC had to go and announce a King Shark Free Comic Day book written by the aforementioned Tim Seeley. So
he's the non-pervy one.
The less pervy one.
Oh, okay, yeah, good point.
From the Superman Lobo and Money Shot discussion earlier.
From the Tim Seeley, Sarah Beatty writing team.
Yeah.
He's the less pervy one.
Yes, there you go. So we're like, hey, buddy, what do you feel about Free Comic Day? And he's in for that.
Okay, great.
So we haven't had an internal discussion about adding anybody else.
I think we probably will, but I don't know who it would be.
I don't know. Like I said, we haven't had that discussion.
No.
And this is not that discussion.
No.
But it is something we will definitely have soon. I also said, hey, we're open, these hours. What do you want? He's like, whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the city's going to be like in August.
Yeah. Madhouse.
Well, that's the thing. I sort of feel like by August, I mean, I'm not...
Cases going back up.
I'm not betting on it, but I would be shocked if there was not a further relaxation of mask rules in August.
Oh, yeah, I fully expect that.
Where it's businesses won't have to, and social distancing won't be as much of a big deal. I mean, maybe that's just optimism. I'm not a epidemiologist. I don't understand how.
Did you lose your
works.
license?
I
almost said disbarred, but that's the wrong thing. But did you get disbarred from epidemiology?
It didn't mean what I thought it meant. So, it turned out I wasn't an epidemiologist. I thought
you were an entomologist.
No, as it turns
you
out...
were an entomologist.
Well, that's the thing. As it turns out, there isn't really a word for someone who eats a lot of donuts. I thought there was.
Oh.
So, yeah, epidemiologist did mean what I thought it did. But anyway, long story short...
Is that
I would not be shocked if...
Etiologiist?
I would not be shocked if we did not find ourselves in August not really having to do much planning towards running a Free Comic Book Day in, a pandemic mindset. I assume that we will probably not be as required to do those things, nor will it be expected of us. But maybe not. Maybe it's going to look exactly like it does today, and it's nope, can't do any of that.
Well, one of the weird things about DC announcing their four Free Comic Day books this year, as opposed to the normal 2, because, hey, no diamond rules, they can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Is we've already placed and final order cutoff our Free Comic Day book numbers.
Yeah, once again, since DC doesn't have to adhere to the way Diamond does things, they can announce them well after the fact and just do them on, regular FOCs. So instead of months of planning, it's just I don't know, normal couple months.
And also, we committed to spending X amount of money on Free Comic Day books, anticipating DC would have 1 or 2, not 4.
Not 4. So probably going to order half as much of each of those as we would if there were just 2.
Well, 1 we're ordering a ton of.
I'm just saying. In the
metric
sense of
ocean ton of.
If you have a budget, and you budgeted X amount of dollars, you're dividing it by 2 instead of by 4.
One of them is a book I feel we need to pull for every Batman subscriber.
Sure, but that's not as many as you think.
I guess. Somebody came in today and asked is that it? Is Saga just done? No, it's only halfway done.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I don't want to be a naysayer. But the longer this saga hiatus goes on, the more I'm like, it's either going to come back with a different artist or it's not going to come back at all.
No, they've been working on it this whole time. Don't worry.
Yep.
I think they're doing it so they never have to take a break again.
I just don't see that being viable. I mean, they were never... I get that, like, Brian K. Vaughan has a certain amount of Hollywood money or whatever, but, like, you cannot like, he's not Robert Kirkman. He doesn't have Walking Dead TV money. He can't indefinitely fund the production of a comic that is not reaching store shelves. Yeah, it's either...
I mean, he definitely has Hollywood money.
He does, but he doesn't have I own The Walking Dead money.
Sure.
That's a different amount of money.
Yeah.
That's like the difference between, like, hey, I'm the fourth credited actor on a CW superhero show versus Robert Downey Jr. Those two people make different amounts of money when they do a project.
Do you think Robert Downey Jr. makes money for CW shows? That's weird. I mean, he's worth it.
Sure. I think they'd be lucky to have him.
Yeah. Even, I mean, just paying him Flash money just for having been Iron Man is worth it.
Sure.
I definitely think it is. Just looking at the whiteboard and seeing what else we're going to talk about,
Okay.
I think it was interesting that a week ago Thursday we spent all day and night working, and I talked about it last week how it just like the day is over. It's like, oh man, I worked all day
Yeah.
and it's a day off.
Yeah.
And then yesterday was also a Thursday, so a day off, and just different points where both you and I on phone calls with the city or with distributors or
Who I had to call again today.
getting people to go take sign photos. Just like how all these things, so many things just have no boundary, like
Yeah,
work time boundary.
That's the thing, when you own a business,
Yeah.
like, you're never really off the clock. That was a thing that you and I even experienced when we were working for somebody else, where even when you hit a management level, a salaried management level, it's like the expectation is you are available at all times. And when you own a business, it's even more pervasive. Like, everything you do is, you could get a phone call or a text message at any time where it's like, I have to do this.
Somebody just today posted this comparison of out of office messages. Like, out of office message, Europe. Hey, I'm on summer holiday. I'll be back in the office September 1st. Europe. America. Hey, I'll be out of the office for the next 2 hours. I'm having a kidney operation, but you can still reach me on my cell.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I'm like, wait, that second one sounds like the store. And it's just the amount of things that happen on a Thursday. It's like, I need to be at the store to handle this.
Yeah.
But just, it's like, oh, okay, this is a day you can relax. No, you have to deal with sign permits. You have to deal with distributors not being able to process a $6 charge for some
Right.
completely unknown reason.
Yeah, and it's sort of ridiculous because there are, above and beyond, like, oh, if I was at the store, I'd be doing this, but now I'm doing this at home. There's a whole bunch of tasks where it's like, I can only do this at home because I can't do it if I'm on the sales floor because it is too complex or too time-consuming or too distracting. Like, I have to do it at home at, like, 10 o'clock at night. Like, I ended up doing half of the weekly reorder late Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Like 11 o'clock.
I mean, part of that was because you couldn't log into one of the...
Part of it just because it was taking a while and 7 o'clock rolled around. It's like, time to go home. And I can remote into the system and do the rest of it that way. And I did, and it all got done.
Hey, we can leave stuff in the PRH carts, right?
Yep.
Like, I added 4 books that were special orders today
Okay.
in the cart.
Great.
And I noticed there was a Batman trade already in there.
Huh. I don't remember putting a Batman trade in there.
Yeah, I'm sure you did for Scott Gerber.
Oh, yeah, I did. You're right.
Yeah.
Yep. I did yesterday.
So I'm like, oh, I didn't need to close this out. It's the books I added are a manga, and one of them is back ordered.
Okay.
It's like temporarily out of stock, be back soon. Like, what a polite message.
Yeah.
Not just a purple triangle saying nope, you're effed,
Right.
and then the other 3 are available.
Although that said, I'd recently ordered a Hellblazer book from PRH that was listed as in stock, and then when they invoiced us, it was out of stock indefinitely.
Oof.
Which was like, oh, that's way worse.
That was for Alexis, right?
Yeah, but also just for our restock.
Sure.
Hellblazer Volume 3 is completely unavailable, which is like, cool, I'm not stocking Hellblazer books anymore.
Yeah.
Like, if you have 26 volumes and I can't get 3, it's going to be way harder for me to sell 4 through 26.
Speaking of Hellblazer, tell me if I did Keith a disservice. Hellblazer Keith was in.
Yes.
We haven't seen him for a while.
Sure.
So I pointed out that Truth and Justice issue.
I would assume.
And then I said, FYI, he's in Justice League Dark, which is these 8-page backups in Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind, it's a 20-page Justice League story and an 8-page Dark story.
Yeah. This is a $5 comic to read an 8-page backup.
And he's like, I'll do it. Like,
Got nothing else to read for Hellblazer. Might as well.
And also, I couldn't help but point out, and he agreed with me, how wrong it is to have John Constantine in a blue dress shirt.
Oh, God, yeah.
And there was in Truth and Justice, he's wearing a blue shirt.
White, only white.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unnerving.
Yeah. A tan trench coat, white shirt.
Yeah.
It can't get more iconic.
You can change the tie color. It can be red. It can be black.
Sure.
But but it's a solid color, not a pattern.
Yeah. And the shirt can be untucked or whatever, or slightly disheveled.
The tie could be loose or fully on, but just a blue dress
The
shirt.
tie should always be loose.
But I mean, I felt like Matt Ryan wore it too loose.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you can have it loose where the knot is like an inch or two away from the neck, or you can have the Matt Ryan one where it's like below the sternum.
Yeah.
Like, that's too far. That's a bit much.
So on the one hand, it's like, oh great, new Hellblazer stuff. The other hand, yeah.
And that's something I think we've talked about before, where it's like, when something is an incredibly limited supply, and the audience is voracious enough, you can kind of charge what you want. Like, the idea of, a comic is going to price itself out of the market by being like $5 instead of $4. Like, man, Saga could come back and cost $6 an issue, and I don't think we would see a huge drop.
No.
Because it's like, you can't get cheaper Saga. Like, this is just what it costs now. As opposed to, certainly there's some other books where it's like, you better be the best book with the most dedicated audience to pull that shit and get away with it. Like, again, Saga could do that. But, like, no offense, picking an image book at random. If Manifest Destiny was like, it's $8 an issue, it's like, you are going to lose your entire audience.
Yeah.
There's no way.
We had some people in who were someone's from the neighborhood, and then they had some friends visit, and the friend had kids.
Cool.
So the kids were looking around the store. It's one of the things where...
Oh, so they didn't... I thought you meant they gave birth to the children in the store, which would be...
I wasn't looking. It may have happened.
A real interesting way of burying the lead.
Sure.
We've had weddings before. We've never had anyone give birth in the store.
Nor die.
That I know of.
Nor die. So...
Well, I was choosing good things that we would want to celebrate. Not
Sure.
things where it would be morbid.
Well, I mean, if you're doing the start, we can do the end.
Sure.
Anyway, I heard, disappointingly, one of the kids was like, couldn't find anything they wanted.
Aw.
But I heard the two people talking, and the non-local one had said, oh yeah, you know what, and it's so great, because this other comic store, they mail me the books every month, so I don't have to go, and they just show up, and the kids have their books. And I just almost said out loud, man, F that store. You're going there? Come on.
Thank you for not saying that out loud, I guess.
Yeah. But I was over the top with the kids when they were buying stuff and doing stuff with bookmarks.
You turned it on. You're good at that. You're very good at that.
And the person who lives 4 blocks away...
I can't fake it like you can.
...bought a monstrous that they may have already had. So they're like, can I bring it back tomorrow if I have it? Yeah, that's fine. I'll be here tomorrow. It's fine. It's fine. Because I was going to do why did you go home and check first? But it's like, you know what? I'm here tomorrow.
Whatever.
Who cares? So it's not like they didn't buy anything. And like they still had a good experience. But I'm like, really? That store? And it's not like I would want to, mail out a copy of, I'm just randomly picking kids' book, My Little Pony every month. Mm-hmm. We wouldn't want the extra work per se.
No.
But it's like, you're supporting the wrong store.
I'm sorry to hear that.
That's okay. I mean, that's just the retailer and me.
Sure.
We had an experience yesterday. I woke up to an email from someone who is very disappointed in us. Mm-hmm. Not our parents.
My mom is never disappointed in me anymore. She's so proud of me.
Well, she's every right to be, Dale.
I would disagree with that, and sometimes that's where we have some friction.
You and me, or you and her?
She's very proud of me, and I don't think she should be. Or I don't think she should be as proud as she is.
Okay, we don't have enough time to unpack that in this episode, so I'm just going to sidestep it.
Yeah, just leave that there. Leave that there for later.
Cause a little... Oh, look, Siri's now looking up sidestep it, cause a little.
On what? What even is that?
Stop talking. It's also...
It's picking me up, too?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So we got a letter from somebody, an email from somebody saying they're disappointed with us because we support Black Lives Matter. Mm-hmm. Now, it's not a new thing. We have had a Black Lives Matter banner in our window for almost a full year.
Yeah.
And ironically, I had taken a new photo of the banner on Tuesday because it was sadly the 1-year anniversary of George Floyd's death. Mm-hmm. And I thought about...
Or murder.
Yeah, that's fair.
I could say murder.
Absolutely, the murder.
I think at this point we can say murder.
I thought about posting that on Instagram, but I was also posting photos of the new comics for the week, and I didn't want to tarnish the message with salesmanship or... No,
definitely not.
Yeah, so I wound up having a use for that photo later. But anyway, this person... don't we understand that Black Lives Matter is a corrupt political organization that takes millions of dollars and does more harm to the black community? And if we would just do our research, we would know. At the core, I think when people say Black Lives Matter, they are not endorsing a charity or an organization that has the same name. They're stating empathy for human beings.
Yeah, an acknowledgement of basic human dignity.
Yeah, and basically saying that no one should be treated as a second-class citizen.
Yeah.
Black people have the same rights as white people,
mm-hmm.
etc. Mm-hmm. So I sent a little letter back just saying, and they're like, oh, well, you know, and it was a badly worded email grammatically, and just maybe English isn't their first language. I don't know. Maybe it was rushed on a phone.
Normally, I wouldn't want to cast aspersions on people, but because the message of this email was so unhelpful and kind of grotesque.
Grotesque is a good word.
That I will say that the construction of this email was exactly the sort of construction you would expect an email like this to have.
Just the phrase, do your research. All right, do your mm-hmm. research into grammar and sentence structure.
Yeah.
Is that hard?
Yeah, I definitely assume that people who are this resistant to the message of Black Lives Matter to randomly email a business to express disappointment in that business's support of Black Lives Matter, this is the sort of email I would expect to get.
Yeah,
it's exactly how I would expect it to look like.
And the mere fact that we agree with the fact that Black Lives Matter means that they can't spend any more money in our store. Fine.
Yeah, totally fine. Yeah.
Don't care. But I posted my reply on Instagram, which is a weird platform because I had to do a screen cap on my phone. So, you couldn't... I blurred out the person's name and email address, of course, but you couldn't see their full email, nor, I had to take the photo before I signed the email because that would have, a blank space, the blank line, then my name, then a blank,
Sure.
The space is at a premium, so you miss the dear person's name and then the salutation in the exit line. Obviously, no signature line in that as well. Just to be able to have a photo that would fit in Instagram. And it's a boring text photo. And the only comment I made a small comment that just said, it started with sigh. I know nothing good can come of me posting this, and I shouldn't be surprised by it, but I am saddened. And that was it. And no hashtags, no anything else. And as I explained to you yesterday, you would have thought that I was asking for compliments or asking for someone to donate a kidney or something. Mm-hmm. The outpouring of support we got from this, which frankly didn't expect.
No.
Also makes us a little uneasy.
Yeah, I mean,
you especially.
Yeah, any getting lauded for something like this, where it's all we did was we put up a banner in a window and told one random person who emailed us after 1 year, "Hey, we don't believe in what you believe. Feel free to not shop with us."
But people are equating that gesture to
I don't think that's brave or anything.
How we conduct our business. And I don't think they're wrong to do so.
I guess.
But, people calling us superheroes for doing that?
No.
I get it because we sell superhero comic books,
okay.
But we don't... We're not, what have we done in the last year? Donated money to organizations.
Yeah.
Put up a banner.
Yeah, man, I wasn't out there on the streets or nothing.
Right.
I could have done so much more that I did not.
I couldn't because I was injured for most of the year.
Patrick wanted to so badly, but he was physically unable to go out and do all the protesting he normally would do. That is absolutely true.
So many kind words, so many just likes in general.
Yeah.
I figured out last year that the top 9 photo collage that people do at the end of the year for Instagram with your 9 most liked photos. For us, I realized a photo has to hit 225 likes to make it in the top 9. That's nothing. That 225 likes is a very small amount in the grand scheme of things.
I suppose, yeah.
When we first put up the Captain America Black Lives Matter banner last June and put up a photo of it, that photo got like 189 likes. The 2 photo posts from yesterday, the first photo is just the text. The second photo is the more recent photo I took of the banner, which it's like a year aged now.
Yeah.
At last look,
it's holding up pretty well.
It really is.
It really is.
It's holding up way better than most other sale signs.
Yeah. And that's in like one of the most like sun-beaten windows you can possibly have.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Like, we were basically leaving it up until it falls off, but it's doing great.
It's doing great. That thing wants to stay up. Great.
Well over 600 likes so far.
Crazy.
Which is, I mean, it's Instagram. Who cares?
Sure.
It doesn't mean anything.
No.
We
can't
just
trade those in for like Instagram bucks or whatever.
Right. But it's just insane how this experience is what catapulted it. And Gina had asked, because I was talking about how much more like, she's like, what hashtag did you use? I'm like, none.
Friends reunion.
I didn't. Could we be any more supportive? That was terrible. Oh my god.
It's been a long time since you watched that show. You're doing your best.
No, it's that sentence structure doesn't work. That doesn't work at all.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant your
sentence.
Chandler Bing.
I don't try to do his voice, but I mean the inflection is all just the way you say it, which was fine, but it was a dumb sentence.
Okay.
Anyway. It's insane, and just so many like people that say thank you or the applaud emojis or fire emojis. Great. People of color who shop with us or in the community who thank us for it. I mean, you don't need to.
No, I hope it helps.
I feel like it's just basic human decency to do it, but
basically.
But the
it
people
seems like the absolute lowest bar for us to clear.
and we haven't really had anybody rail against it.
No.
We had one person who was trying to point out the difference between the organization and the slogan.
Sure.
But they did it in a really clunky way, and it got some conflicting responses. And then one person just said, buy larger mansions, and I didn't get it.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Well, it's BLM.
Oh, God, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, like, that, I didn't like that response.
No.
I feel compelled to like all the responses just to acknowledge them.
Okay.
But there's a certain point where Instagram makes you hunt for them.
Oh, sure.
And I feel like this is more work than I wanted to put into it.
Sure.
But I want to acknowledge people that acknowledged our post.
Of course.
But people said some very, very nice things, and it definitely makes me realize that we have a bigger impact than we think we do.
Sure.
And ultimately, that none of that matters. What matters is if we can stay in business. What matters is if we could feed our families, you know?
I mean, I don't know. I would maybe disagree with that. I think finding out stuff like that, it does matter because it's motivation, I guess. Like, it makes you feel, you know...
It's so weird you say that because you always seem like you don't care at all about this stuff.
Oh, I mean, I find
or maybe is it because it makes you uncomfortable?
That one. But, I mean, finding out that you're kind of embedded in the community in a way where... And it's something that recently when we had been, you know, looking at our lease for the store... the singular store, there was a real desire on our behalf to stay in that store as long as we possibly can.
Yeah.
Have we outgrown that store? Could we use a bigger footprint? Could we use, you know, I'd hardly ever say like more frontage because I don't think you'll ever find a wider storefront than we have now.
Definitely.
Nor the visibility or proximity to public transit. But like, could we have a better, bigger store? And it's like, I like that that's where the store is, that we are in the community, that we live in the same neighborhood that we work in, that we, you know, are on Western Avenue and we frequent those businesses and like the kind of...
reminds me, I didn't go to the dry cleaners today.
The neighborhood fixture feel, I think, is so interesting and so, I don't want to say undervalued, but it doesn't seem like a thing that a lot of businesses care as much about. You know, places are constantly looking for what's the most economical place to be or what could boost their business more. And I kind of like the idea of like, no, we're on Western Avenue. We're this store, and we're always there, and we've been there for 13 years.
You know,
and we want to be there for 6 more, and whatever.
I took a screen cap of an article, and maybe if it's big enough of a resolution, I will use it as the image for this particular podcast, because I've never known what to do with it. And this is from, I don't know, maybe a year ago. I don't know when it was.
Is it all the different restaurants that have been in that spot by the blue line that's currently...
I mean...
Was it the Blue Car Cafe or something? Blue Car Grill? Blue something Grill?
You're very close. Basically, I think Frank from Frank's Barbershop passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
This was a while ago, but it's nice of you to say.
Still sorry?
Frank used to cut my hair. And it was an article about his life and the history of that shop. Mm-hmm. And there were some quotes from his son. And his son had said, you know, my dad cut hair for so long, and like basically he was around the corner, then moved, and like where the other half of Green Eye is where they used to be.
Oh wow!
And they moved to the front.
To where Dark Matter is. Isn't that them?
Maybe one of those stores. Yeah,
I think it's where Dark Matter is.
Remember when we were first calling around for the store? Like Frank's had just moved because Green Eye wanted that spot. Sure,
yeah, I mean, that was...
And when you're in Green Eye, they have a Frank's Barbershop sign in that half of the store.
I remember that being when we were looking around, we called them, we're like, hey, what about this spot? How great would it be next to the Green Eye? And they're like, not for sale. Okay, great.
We're going to be moving into it just as well, because that spot was tiny.
Yeah, and a little tucked away.
So anyway, the son's quote was, but I don't even recognize this neighborhood anymore. Like, you come back and you look, and it's, you know, restaurant here, a coffee shop there, a comic shop across the street.
We're everything that's wrong in Bucktown.
Right? And when I read that, I'm like, hey, man, we've been here 12 years at that point.
Yeah.
13 now. It's like, I think that we are as much of a fixture as Frank's may have been.
Sure.
We've never moved.
No.
Like, I don't know, maybe I have no idea how to compare numbers of heads they've cut versus number of comics we've sold. That's not fair. Number of people we've sold comics to.
We've definitely sold more comics than they have.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
And they've cut more heads of hair than we have.
It's
which,
close.
by the way, our number is not 0.
Yeah, it's close.
FYI, not 0.
It's closer than you'd think.
Yeah, but all I gotta do is look right here. This little patch on my head.
We'll pass them up in time. They're not even open anymore.
That's true.
We'll get there.
We're here for the long game. But yeah, you just put it perfectly. Where everything that's wrong with the developing neighborhood.
Yep.
They don't even recognize it anymore. A comic store?
Yeah. Stupid big businesses like Challengers gentrifying the neighborhood too much. No local character.
Right? Yeah. It's weird to me to have kids adults being like, I was buying comics from when I was a kid. It's only been 13 years.
Yep.
It's not that long.
Oh, I definitely have had that happen. I think I told you I can't remember the details.
Like, if there's people who say, I've been buying comics from you personally since I was a kid.
No.
Sure, I've been doing this 30 years.
We had a guy who came in, I think he came in or called in or something. I wish I could remember the details. It really blurs together. But it was recently, and they had basically said that they had shopped in the store when they were a kid, and now they're out of college.
Yeah, and
they're an adult, and they're like ready to get comics again. And the whole thing was just like, Jesus, yeah, I guess the math on that works.
Yeah. I mean,
it's close.
If you go grade school through college, is 12 years.
Yeah.
So I mean fifth grade.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay.
I mean, I don't know exactly how old they were when they first came in, so there's definitely a range there where it's like if you're on the higher end of that range, yes. Lower end of that range, but no. Legitimately, we have people who are like, yeah, like they have literally been shopping with us for, since they were children, and now they are not children.
Well, if you look at like Logan and Malcolm Springham, they didn't exist in a world without challengers.
No, Jack Chu's daughter as well, and son.
Yeah. Haruka.
Yeah. Haruka was born like a few months after Challengers opened.
Yeah.
That kid is basically as old as the store is. And I mean, that's kind of amazing. It's the sort of stuff where, yeah, obviously it's nice to make money and it's nice to stay in business because you've made money. And it's certainly nice as a human being to have money to exist on. But, the ability to feel a sense of pride in the store, whether that's through business practices that we find to be not as predatory, as the comics industry defaults to, or if it's just, you know, people saying nice things on Instagram where it's like, oh, this store actually means something to people beyond, I got the new issue of TMNT The Last Ronin there. Like, that's pretty cool, and that makes you feel like it's worthwhile to go in, even on days where it's like, the money's not great, or the work is too hard, or some stupid publisher did some stupid thing with their stupid Fortnite comic, and now everything is way more difficult for you. Those things don't matter as much when you have something else you can look to and go, oh, no, what you're doing does matter to someone.
There's a comics retailer who just announced that they're closing their store when the lease is up in October. Not because business is bad.
I don't want to open a second store if that's where this is going.
But because work is harder than it used to be. They have grandkids now they want to spend time with.
Sure.
And their lease is up. So, like, it's time.
Yeah.
So, our good friend and patron, Morgan Perry, that was the first comic shop that they ever went to.
Oh, wow.
And posted about how, like, hey, your store meant so much to me. I'm so happy it existed.
Yeah.
You know, it was my favorite. It was my store until I moved to California, blah, blah, blah. And it reminded me of something that you had said before where it seems like people only say that stuff when a store's closing.
Sure.
So it's nice to hear it when we're not closing.
Yeah, occasionally, yeah.
And going back to something you had just said, Ryan Voss is in today, and when he was in, and the phone was not in my pocket, someone had called and asked if we buy comics, and Gina hanged up the phone, and she's like, no, we don't buy comics. And Ryan said, have you ever wondered about big books you may have missed by not looking at collections? Like, if somebody would have brought in, you know, a Fantastic Four 1 or something like that. And I said, no, I don't miss it, because if somebody brought in a Fantastic Four #1 and they had no idea what it was, I would tell them, hey, this is a really big deal. You need to go somewhere where they can give you the money that you deserve.
Right.
Like, I can't afford to buy this. And
you wouldn't be like, maybe $200.
Yeah, I mean,
yes,
I would
doing
just,
you a favor.
I would just be compelled to tell them that they have a good book.
Yeah.
And you
would do things the ethical way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, more than that, like, I think we don't, for me at least, I don't feel like I'm kicking myself because I missed out on the money for those big books, even if I could afford to get them in a collection, because I also missed out on years, over a decade, of sorting through long boxes and separating out wheat from chaff and pricing books and
the number of people.
Oh
can I just see that FF #1? Can I hold that?
God.
Can I look at that?
Like, just receiving a collection and working through it and pricing it and getting it on the floor, like, that is by itself a full-time job, and I hated doing that job when it was my full-time job.
Yeah,
like, us not buying collections, it's not just a thing of like, well, we saw a different model for the store. It's like, no, we hated doing that part of the job, so we specifically excluded it from our responsibilities. We built a store that didn't do that, so we'd never have to do that again.
And I just want to be perfectly clear. It's not like Ryan was saying, oh, like, do you wish you could have gotten a book that way or anything? He was just asking, like,
sure.
If, like,
just curious.
Like, yeah, the thrill of finding those books would be great. Like, you know, to get a box full of early Captain Americas, I would love it. But
yeah,
I would not love having to sit on it for X number of years until they eventually go, or what have you.
And go to a million conventions, because where else are you going to sell those books at?
Yeah. So yeah, no, I'm happy that we don't do it. I do every time when someone's like, "Do you guys have back issues?" Yeah, they're in the box over there. Oh, nothing older?
No vintage stuff. Sorry.
Oh, not what you want.
I had to tell someone the other day that a Batman Punisher John Romita Jr. Prestige format book that they had a picture of on their phone does technically qualify as a vintage book now.
Wow.
Sorry, we don't have it.
But also, if we did have it, $1.99.
I remember the spinner racks at GC where it would just be all the prestige format stuff we get in collections. Just
Sure.
whatever random, like, here's a Superman Batman Generations book. Here's whatever. Like, all of those prestige format books that came out over a couple decades that were just in people's collections and no one ever cared. You sell them for cover price.
Nope. So be it. Tomorrow's treasures are today's...
No thank yous.
Here's a thank you. Thanks for listening.
And keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook. Follow @Challengers on Twitter and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.